Yo, not gonna lie. This is a sick way to get free food.
It's a nutcase, man. I'm gonna obviously edit that out.
But we're not doing this for free food.
No, of course, but you know, there's been no we haven't because we could get a mad bill.
What do you mean?
Afterwards, innit?
We'll get a mad bill.
Who knows? I don't know.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Maybe it's not free at all. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't thought about that.
Normal. But
so
yeah.
if you're laughing at a funeral, you're not a sicko.
No, you're not a sicko. You're just basically weak. It's your subconscious trying to protect you from. You don't want to let yourself be vulnerable.
Mental. Yeah, no, it's mental. No, but great man. And Dai, the brother he mentioned, interesting story is that he had like a lot. He was a character. Like he would run into we used to have like a something called Sunday school, and he would run inside whilst the teacher's teaching and shout sausages without smiling. No, so I think like one of the important things to like just discuss a little bit is that obviously, and this is universal, I don't think this is just for us as Pakistanis, but do you feel like you were able to communicate more with your mum about your differences of like confusion about life and cultural differences, maybe with school friends and so on and so forth, or was it more with your dad, if any?
Bro, I'll be honest.
That's cool.
I don't think I could speak to either of them, to be honest. But if the question is about who I was closer to and who I was more free with, then 100% is my mum. 100%. Because I think your dad was similar to my dad in the sense that, bro, we got beat. I don't know how comfortable you are saying that on camera, but I would say it straight. My dad will know it as well. I got beat. And the reason why I got beat was because my dad was trying to not control, but he was trying to make sure that we weren't going too astray, going too far off the roads, basically.
I think it's important for context that, because for example, I've told a lot of my Dutch friends that our understanding of discipline is very different to maybe standards of discipline elsewhere, and naturally, like as I often do in interviews, I have to make sure that every opinion is represented, and I think for a lot of people, like they would see that as abuse, unfortunately, and like maybe there's a element of truth in that if you look at it black and white, but I think it's also important to give context that maybe the time we were growing up. So allegedly.
Big man, I was abused. No, I'm joking. Nah, I say that I'm messing around though. Obviously, when I've mentioned it to some people that I grew up like this, I grew up with a strict sort of discipline, they're like, right, you got abused. I'm like, nah, I don't see it as abuse. I haven't got that like victim mentality. There were a time maybe where I did feel like a victim, like, bro, why am I getting beaten for like doing some small thing? But I guess for my parents, it was a case where they were just trying to make sure that we weren't going too astray. So their method of disciplining was like to instill that fear into us.
I think it's important to give context. So like, for example, if you remember when we were growing up, I don't know what London is like now. Obviously, we've lived in different parts of London, so on and so forth, but it's quite a wild place, man.
100%.
Like, there's a lot of people who are getting stabbed, there's a lot of robberies, there's a lot of violence between youth. I think, thankfully, at least I can say for myself, I don't really think about any of that stuff anymore, but when you're a child, you're easily influenced. Your friends will take, I don't know about you, but a lot of my friends, I had a mixed batch. Some people care about school, some people don't. All of that.
Yeah, no, 100%. It was the same for me, and like, as you mentioned, for context, we grew up in a council flat, and in a council block, and things were tough, bro. Like, whenever we used to step out into so our garden was connected to the communal park, and like sometimes the guys in the block would just set their dogs on us, so we'll be running. And my brother Tadi as well, and Tadi grew up and he was diagnosed with ADHD early on, and you'll probably know this as well, that when we used to get chased by like some of the guys in the block because they just want to start trouble and bother us and just give us grief, when he used to run away, he'd be like, nah, I'm disabled, you can't hit me, I'm disabled, because he was diagnosed with ADHD. But yeah, like we used to have loads of trouble. Like, bro, we used to have firework fights, bro. And like, well, I say we didn't have no fights, but we were attacked with fireworks. I remember once we were going to the mosque, my dad, and we were driving, and then we drove around our block, came out car park, drove around, so the back side of our block, and like in front of us, maybe like 100 meters down in the middle of the road, someone pointed their firework towards the car and shot it at the car, and it just literally went straight underneath the car and went behind us. But
was this the mystery machine, the silver one?
Yeah. The Toyota Minas, Estimas, Lucidas, whichever ones they were.
Like 9 people could fit in that car.
Literally, bro. Sometimes even more. But yeah. So like you said, it was the fear of having us being involved in that life, and getting involved in gangs and all that sort of stuff, which was why they were strict on us, because they wanted us to, so they thought by beating us or being strict with us that we would be stepping away from that. But unfortunately 99% of the time it inadvertently literally
absolute content. Nah, so I think just to be for the record, I remember going to this guy's place as a younger man, as a kid, and I was terrified of his pops. Call it a spade as a spade. Lovely man, but he wasn't dealing with any nonsense, you know what I mean? Like, I remember the first time, actually, I think I sat, because I got to know you in Masjid Fazl, like the first mosque in London. And I remember, I think he asked me a question or something, and the way he said it as well, it was just, I think he asked me who I was, and I was like a 10-year-old. Like, it's the way he said it as well, is like it basically, yeah, who are you? Like, as in, like, what you about sort of thing. And I'm just thinking, I just want to hang out with my mate. And I just didn't look impressed, So, no, but great man. And Dai, the brother he mentioned, interesting story is that he had like a lot. He was a character. Like, he would run into, we used to have a something called Sunday school, and he would run inside whilst the teacher's teaching and shout sausages without smiling.
Yeah, bro, he literally said the same thing the other day, just to make us laugh while we were taking a family picture.
See, now it's voluntary, yeah? But back then it was involuntary.
Yeah, 100%.
And he would just start fights with people as well.
Bro, as going back to my dad, yeah? I know I've mentioned that he was strict, but the one thing I do want to say is that my dad is the biggest, bro. What's the best description for something that's hard on the outside and soft on the inside? An egg? Or what? Yeah. Bro, I don't know. Coconut. Bro, he is the biggest lozenge, basically. He's a lozenge. Man's a locket. Or he's a soother, bro. Because he is so tough on the outside. My dad is the hardest guy on the outside, but he's jelly on the inside, bro. I'll tell you how much of a jelly he is. One time, this is like a year ago, I was at my parents' house, and in the morning I come down, I see a big bin bag full of packets of bread, unopened packets of bread, yeah? And I go to my mum, right, what's this? So I've got 6 packets of Hovis bread in here, yeah? And my mum goes, oh yeah, basically your dad, whenever he goes shopping, does a weekend shopping, he will buy bread that's on the clearance aisle, the ones that are close to expiration, so that he can buy them and feed the birds. So literally an hour later, I see him breaking up pieces of bread and chucking it on top of our garage for the birds. I was like, rah, he's soft. We grew up with him. I remember times thinking, rah, how can my dad be so evil? But the fact is, he's not evil at all. And I can know for a fact that he has so much love. He cares so much. Bro, my neighbor, God bless her, bro. She's 92 or 93, yeah? She struggles to move about. Yeah. She struggles to move about. She struggles to get things done. My dad, every time that the bins are to go out, yeah, all the different bins, food bin, glass, whatever it is, to go out on different days, right? He does his own one, and then he does a neighbour's one as well. Without even asking her, he puts her bins out in the evening. Yeah. And he brings the trolley back into her house as well, in the morning. And that's without her even asking. I go to see her every now and then, and she's always saying the same to me. Dad is so nice, he's so kind, he's so caring. My mum does the same thing. She'll every other day or call her, or she'll go over to visit. So I've said this to people as well when they say you were abused, and I laugh about it because no one really knows my dad, and only recently I've come to understand why my dad is the way he is. Like, bro, everyone goes through trauma, yeah? Everyone goes through things that make them behave in certain ways. So what I've tried to do in the last few years is understand exactly why people behave the way they behave. And that's where my interest in psychology came from originally. It was what I wanted to understand people. I wanted to understand, okay, why does this person behave the way they behave?
But would you say that that's like part of your... would you say that a big part of that came from your cultural upbringing and your parents, or is there other factors in that as well?
To understand people?
Yeah. Because obviously your home is your base environment, right?
It's come from everything, really. It could be that as well, because it could be... I've never really thought about, okay, where it's come from, but it could be, coming from two different lives, living a nice boy, good boy, Pakistani Muslim at home, and then going out and being not the opposite, but being something different, basically.
Lethal Mo.
Yeah, basically, trying to be lethal_Mo at hotmail.com. But it could be that, trying to figure out, okay, why am I two different people? So understanding, why people behave the way they do has really made me understand my dad more and appreciate him more. And I've known now, the stuff that my dad has to go through as a kid has made him the way he is now. Like, my dad and my mum always tell me of situations where, my dad, literally even only 2 weeks ago, he was telling me that out of all of his friends in the village that he grew up in Pakistan, everyone had houses made of brick. My dad's house was made of mud. They had a toilet on the roof, and they go, when it used to rain heavy sometimes, bro, the walls used to come down. But imagine you're on the toilet, yeah, it's raining, and the walls come down on you while you're sitting on the toilet.
I want to make a little disclaimer here. So his brother, may Allah give him success in all ways. Me and him have a problem, where if he tells me something serious, yeah, but see, I'm having the same thing with you now. Like, I went to your late grandfather's funeral. I think
you laughed at my grandfather's desk.
You were there, man. It was so awkward. So I've walked inside now, and we both know we have this illness. So I'm trying my best not an illness, bro. But I'm trying my best not to say anything. Obviously, I've hugged him because it was. I think, man, God rest his soul. Your grandfather who asked to see the guy in the truck. Yeah. What was his name?
Muhammad Jamil
Saab. Legend, absolute legend. When I would go to your place, he'd be hooded up, sitting on the bed.
Yeah, fully.
And he wasn't he was vocal, If he walked in, he'd be like, again, who are you, sort of thing.
Stories, bro. I got so many stories about him, bro. But bro, this thing, that you say, this illness that you say you have. Bro, I don't think that's the only illness you got, but that's not an illness, man. It's completely normal. In psychology, it's an ego defense mechanism. Yeah, 100%, bro. The other day I was telling someone at work, I was like, it's like someone passed away. But they looked at me like this. They looked at me straight faced. I just started cracking up. I was like, bro, you're not, trust me, it's completely normal. And the reason why it is...
But are you saying that other people, this happens to other people?
Bro, it happens to majority of people.
But do they hide it then?
No, they're straight. No, they can't hide it.
How many people do you see at funerals laughing? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because...
And the worst thing was we walked in, I'm trying my best, obviously, and the family's obviously you say it, etc. You know us, yeah. But I think your uncle was there and he was not having any of it.
Bro, if their dad passed away, it's gonna be different, innit? Yeah.
But obviously, no one's laughing at the fact that your grandfather's passed away. It's the awkwardness of the situation, and we don't know what to do about it.
Okay, so basically, what happens is it's called an ego defense mechanism, yeah. And literally, it's your subconscious trying to protect yourself from feeling pain. So what it does instead is laugh. That's literally what it is. So you're not the only one. It happens. It's normal. But
if you're laughing at a funeral, you're not a sicko.
No, you're not a sicko. You're just basically weak. It's your subconscious trying to protect you from. You don't want to let yourself be vulnerable.
It's mental. It's mental. No, but I think.
What are you talking
about? Loads of different things. I think. I'm just gonna pause it there.
Let me ask you something.
What? Yeah.
Before you pause it, go on. No, you wanna pause it? You can pause it. But I was gonna ask you something on camera. I wanna ask you something on camera.